Recently we tested out the Rickhouse Proof Wheated Bourbon from Ben Holiday, and it's time for another wheater with one that was introduced to me by a friend that has a little dark secret. This is Rebel Small Batch Reserve. And you might be like, Rebel? Who cares? Rebel is owned by Luxco, and Luxco was recently acquired, but before then, and including this, they used to source their juice from Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill's wheated profile is pretty famous. Comes in this pretty bottle, and it's called Old Fitzgerald. That's right. This is the exact same juice as Old Fitzgerald. Since the acquisition, which I believe is MGP, they are switching where they're sourcing from. And this is the very last of all of the Heaven Hill juice blended into a giant batch and released at 110 proof. The age is somewhere between like 4 and 6 years, but basically what you have in this $30 bottle is young Old Fitz. So let's crack this open, do 2 Minute Tuesday, get the notes, and see whether or not this is worth hunting down compared to $200+ bottles of Old Fitz. Ooh. Let's get into it. I'm going to use my Baker Drinks Glen because they're the one that introduced me to this. Thank you, Troy. Color's not bad. It's a little lighter, which means it's a little younger, but still a nice kind of amberish hue. It's 110 proof, so we'd expect some viscosity out of it. And we got some reasonable little legs coming in, but nothing too crazy. Let's get into the nose. Dude, you can tell this is Heaven Hill. I don't know about you, but like I get a pronounced kind of nutty note out of Heaven Hill. It's coming in here and I love it. There's a little kind of a butteriness to it, kind of a popcorny thing going on. Let's try this. How is this $30? There is a little bit of that Heaven Hill nutty note that I love, but there's also a touch of kind of wheat funk, and those two go together weirdly well. It's almost like having some kind of like almond butter on wheat toast. I know, you don't think of that with whiskey, but like these two combinations of notes, I'm loving it. There's this nice little kind of sugary sweetness that's in there. It's like you put a couple grains of Demerara sugar in and mixed it up like a cocktail almost a little bit with that sandwich. Or like, you know when you dust a little sugar over the top of a peanut butter toast? It's like that, dude, but just like only a little. Just like just in the middle, you know, not the whole thing. Oh, dude, how is this $30? It's not crazy complex. It's really kind of that wheat funk, that touch of sweetness, and that little nutty note. But it lingers on the palate pretty nicely despite being younger product. That 110 proof is really helping. It's not there forever. It's not hanging on like Weller Full Proof or something like that. But dude, for $30, this is nuts. Nuts. Go find this stupid thing. Finish is not super long, but it's nice. It has just a little bit of a hug. It warms just a touch, but between the nose and the palate, that 110 proof is not ethanol-y at all. It drinks honestly closer to what I would think is more like 95 proof, and that's probably a good thing for a lot of people. Or a bad thing because it becomes really crushable and you go through way too much of it too fast. Dude, this is delicious. I'm giving this a 78. It's not super complex, right? But it's a $30 bottle. So take this into consideration. Normally for me, I need like 3-4 big notes, or it needs to really just hang on for a long time with something kind of special to it to jump into some of the bigger categories in my overall score. But considering I get a nice blend of that wheat funk, that kind of Heaven Hill nutty note that I love, and that little touch of sweetness over the top of it, and while it's not complex, it gives you that kind of through the whole way through, and I'm really liking it. For $30 whiskey, this is insanely good. Insanely good. Now, is it gonna beat Weller 107 or no? Come on, right? But this is like 4 to 6 year juice, and it's old source juice. So if you can find this and you like that Heaven Hill wheated profile, but real quickly because we know we can't do just one, we're gonna compare that. This is Weller Special Reserve, the green label. So on the nose, I get that more floral, kind of funky thing that I usually get out of Weller. But it's only, you know, the 90-something proof, so it's definitely subdued. A touch of sweetness, but that's kind of all that's going on. Quick taste. Way funkier. Way more like wheat funk going on. And for me, Weller gets this kind of like floral thing, a lot like Four Roses. When Four Roses gets its floral note, kind of similar in Weller products for me. Now that might not be your palate, understandable. There is a little, just, it's so light, kind of like that light sweetness that's coming out of that Rebel Small Batch Reserve. There's this teeny tiny touch of cherry in there. It's really light, but not instead of like a sugary sweetness like I got out of the Rebel, I'm getting kind of a fruity sweetness instead out of this. Considering that these are similar MSRPs, good luck finding Weller Special Reserve in most places at MSRP. What would I compare this? I think they're kind of on par in some rates, but in some regards, because it's not as funky and it has that little nutty note, which normally I don't get out of Weeders, I would probably rather have the Rebel Small Batch Reserve. So that means I like this more than I like allocated whiskey in my state. That's a banger of a $30 bottle, but we're not done there. Also from Heaven Hill, and becoming more and more available now, this is the Heaven Hill Grain to Glass Weeded Bourbon, the red label one right here. So let's compare. Now, worth noting, we're at 110 proof with the Small Batch Reserve. This is 121 proof, so significantly more proof and triple the price. These are like $100 bottles where the Small Batch Reserve is $30. So on the nose, oh, this is turbo funk. This is like George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic funk.
Just a dog in me, baby.
But I don't get any like the Heaven Hill nuttiness on the nose that I get in a lot of Heaven Hill products. Especially the Heaven Hill Weeded profile for some reason is even more nutty than the bourbon profiles. That's a funky one. Oh, the finish is interesting. It's been a while since I've had this, so I kind of forgot the ride that this takes me on. It's really funky. I don't get any of the Heaven Hill nuttiness that I like in some of the old Heaven Hill profile stuff. And then it has this like much more ethanol punch to it too. Even though the proof point's not that much different, it's 11 extra proof, but at 121 proof, this is saying hello. This is definitely like lighten up, warming you up a lot more than that Small Batch Reserve is. It's just super funky. There's a little like sugary sweetness going on, but at the end it kind of like gives you a little curveball and gets this slight, I want to almost say like sour note. It's not like sour like something's gone bad, but like think like sour candies where there's this mixture of sweet and something else, and this other thing that kind of just gives it a twist and like lights your palate up differently. Sour is probably not the right term, but there's something in there that's a little different at the tail end of like the wheat funk that's going on that just throws you for a little bit of a curveball. Would I rather have 3 Small Batch Reserves or Heaven Hill Grain to Glass? Can you guess? I'm gonna tell you this right now. This thing's a monster and it's cheap for what it is. Now, don't go drinking this and being like, it's gonna give me, it's the WLW killer. No, get out of here. For what you're getting at its price point, if you like some of the things that are present in the Heaven Hill profile, at least for me, at $30, this thing is a steal. And I would rather have it than the Heaven Hill Grain to Glass. And this is widely considered the best of all 3 of the grain to glasses. Side by side one more time, just in case. Yeah, dude. A little kind of like nuttiness and a little buttery popcorn thing, and that Small Batch Reserve monster. If that's not good enough, we got one more. One more. Courtesy of my friend, the Samoan Barkeep, I have a sample of the 2024 8-year Old Fitzgerald. Yeah, the Decanter Series one. Since these are the same juice, basically put. This is a little older. This like averages, I think, 4 to 6 years. Let's do what is a $200 bottle in my state versus that $30 bottle. A little tiny splash, just enough. There is a little bit of the wheat funk there. There's a significantly different oak influence that is obvious in kind of the oak sweetness that I like, that is present on the nose in the 8-year-old Fitz. Keep in mind, it's a bottle and bond, so it's only 100 proof, so we do have a proof difference again, except we're going lower. There's like, the nuttiness is super faint, and the butteriness isn't present at all in this compared to the Small Batch Reserve from Rebel. So let's try a little sip. Ooh, that dialed up the funkiness real fast. It was like mellow at first, then it was like funky. Oh man, not as funky as the Heaven Hill Grain to Glass. We're not going full on like George Clinton here. We're just like Daft Punk to funk. You know what I'm saying? You music nerds, you'll get what I'm talking about. So there is this like sweetness up front, but it's a little more molassesy. It's a little darker and not quite as sugary sweet, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense with that, because it's not as like confectionery as some like brown sugar can be, where it's definitely more sweet up front. It's this kind of like a darker thing going on. Definitely a lot more wheat funk, but not as funky as this. And the nuttiness is like barely there, where that's a lot more prevalent in the Rebel Small Batch Reserve. It's just this like tiny undertone in this Old Fitz 8-year. The last time I saw one of these, it was like $200 something plus tax in my state. I passed on it. This is $30 plus taxes. So you would get 7 of these basically for one Old Fitz. Let's just say 6. Let's just call it 6 and be conservative. This is an 8-year product. It's the same juice, fancy bottle. I'm drinking that instead. I'm sorry. Now, head-to-head, purely on, let's say, cost is no option, purely on profile. This is funkier. And if you want more in your face wheat funk, if you like that kind of funky weeder profile, you're going to want this. And realistically, you're probably going to want the grain de glace because it's dialing that wheat funk up a lot with that extra proof. This is a little tampered down. You get a little bit more oak sweetness and things like that that are a little darker and more subdued, but help the profile linger quite a bit better. But dude, for $30, this bottle's nuts. There you go. We tried a bunch of different stuff. Find it, pick it up, buy it. It is a secret banger. I'm telling you, like for $30. And just keep in mind, you're not going to be like, oh, it's better than all the Old Fitz. Let's calm that down a little bit. But if we consider that it's a $30 bottle, it's the same sourced juice, and it has a lot of the profile present. It's just not quite as old, or in a very fancy bottle. You're getting Old Fitz cheap. You want to taste the Old Fitz if you've never had an Old Fitz out of the decanter series, and you want to get something that's probably more findable, find this. Have you had this before? I'd love to hear in the comments down below. If you've had the Rebel, the Grain de Glace, or some Old Fitz, let me know in the comments down below. What was interesting or unique about them to you? What made it worth having over some of the others? Or did you completely hate it and you thought, what a waste of money? I want to hear from you. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. It's one of the best ways to help us small whiskey tube channels grow. And as we hit 1,000 subscribers here on my channel, we'll be giving away an E.H. Taylor single barrel. Some phenomenal whiskey that can be incredibly hard to find in a lot of places. I'm kind of lucky. I found a few, so I'm going to give one away. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. And stay awesome.